Hello and welcome to today's math video. I'm so glad you're here and I so appreciate our small math family. I love small intimate groups. But if you can think of someone that could also benefit from today's video, I hope you will consider sharing it with them. And just perhaps our little math family can grow just a bit. Now, how are you doing with your multiplication tables? We're at the halfway mark of the school year and only a half a dozen of my students have fully compressed their facts. By compressed, I mean they no longer have to think about it, they know it. That's where I want all my students to be. My husband taught high school math for over 25 years, and sometimes I would say, Stanley, what can we best do as elementary teachers to prepare them best for you? His answer would often surprise me when he'd say, just make sure they know their multiplication tables really well. Because we know that when they do, it really frees up their energy and brains for higher level thinking. Now, thankfully, my students don't get stuck on their facts. They know how to use tools. They use their fingers. We now know that fingers are our friends. I remember being in elementary school and being scolded for using my fingers for math. I'm so glad those days are gone. They'll use addition. They'll use multiples. They'll use multiplication charts and even a calculator. They know how to get the answer, but I don't want them to have to use those tools. I do want them to just know them. This week, I had a group of students gathered at my feet, and I was doing our little flashcard drill. It was about 6 students. In that drill, I just have the flashcards. I show the fact, and whoever says it first gets it. And if multiple students say it at one time, I just put it back in the stack. Sometimes at the end of that activity, they'll count to see who has the most flashcards, but oftentimes they don't. We're just having fun learning. And I was telling them, students, my dears, I want you to know these multiplication tables like you know your name, that you don't even have to think about it. And Ethan said, you mean like how we know the alphabet? And I said, exactly, that's exactly what I want. And he said, yeah, you know, when I was in kindergarten, I really struggled with J. And then he leaned over to Josiah and said, no offense to your name. And then Josiah said, oh, I really struggled. There's that word struggle that we know to love. He said, I really struggled with E and S. And quickly it became a little mini therapy session where my 4th graders were remembering the alphabet letters that they struggled with. It was the funniest thing. But it was also a perfect learning opportunity because I said, are you still struggling with those? No. And that's where I want you to be. Let's go. And it was a great motivation for us. Now, math speed is a very complex issue because there are many people who believe that math speed is the equivalent of math comprehension. And we know that to be not true at all. In fact, I like when my students take time and struggle over things. Even when they raise their hands, I'll never choose the first few students who raise their hand. I always wait for maybe the 4th or 5th student. And when I catch a student jump out of his desk or her desk right away to go get help with a math problem, when I catch them, I stop them and I say, go back. I want you to struggle. I want you to think, use your resources. Because we know that when they jump up to go get with a friend, usually it means, give me the answer. And who does that serve? No one. There's a mathematician, a French mathematician named Laurent Schwartz. He lived until 2016, and in 1950, he won the Fields Medal, which is the highest honor any mathematician can receive. He talks about feeling stupid in school because he was a slow thinker. And he urges us to appreciate that mathematics is about depth and connections, not a shallow knowledge of facts and fast work. Listen to this quote that he so beautifully says, the fact of being quick or slow isn't really relevant. And yet, I do want my students to at least be fast, just at their multiplication tables. That's all. And today's video is a game on one way that they can practice those facts. This is called Multiplication Snap, and it comes to us from the Boxcar and One-Eyed Jack people. Your students will need to be paired up, and if that is a struggle for you, you're struggling with the same students always wanting to be together, leaving the same students out, which is never okay. I recently did a video on how to group your students in a painless and efficient way, and I keep my students grouped for 2 weeks at a time. Perhaps you could get some ideas from that video that I've already made. But the only materials that you will need for this game are cards. That you can use playing cards or Uno cards. I like to use the cards that I got many years ago from the Boxcar and One-Eyed Jack people. And I just keep them in a tub. I finally remembered to bring my tub home from school, and they're not shuffled or organized in any way, as you can see. And when the students come to me, they always say, "Empty little hands," and then I just reach in and fill their hands with cards, and off they go. In this game, they'll need to remove the box cars. That's the free choice card. And I also have them remove the zeros and the ones because my students have already mastered those and they don't need practice on that. So when you get with your partner, you're going to take your cards and not even shuffle them and organize them in a stack face down, but you're going to decide which fact you need to work on. So let's pretend my partner needs practice on 8s. So you take the 8 out and you put it face up, and that just remains for the entire round of that game. And this little stack here represents this stack that you would have on your desk or on the floor. Now it's a contest between my partner and I can say the product first. So let's see. This is 6 times 8 is 48, and my partner said 48 first, so she got the card. The next, and I take turns, we take turns who flips over the card. Now it's my turn to flip, and I said the fact of 8 times 10 is 80. I said it first, so I get that one. But let's see what happens when you have a tie. That's very exciting. So we're working on our 9s in this round. And the first one was 9 times 7, which is 63, and we said it at the same time. So we take that card and we just put it beneath here, like so. And now we turn over another card, which is 9 times 8, which is 72. And we both said it at the same time again. So can you see how this pile is just growing? And then we turn over another card, and hopefully someone will say that one first, and then that person gets all the stack of cards. And this tie stack can just grow and grow. There's no limit to how big it can get. So ties are very exciting. Now, when the students are finished, you want to teach them not to come to you and say, "I'm finished," because there are surely other facts that they need to work on. So if they finish that one, then pick another card for another round. And the person who wins, of course, is the person who has the most cards. Now, what does math fluency time look like in my classroom? Well, I take those 6 students who have already compressed their multiplication tables and I put them doing different activities. This week they were working on fraction activities. Then the remaining students who still need to practice, I split them in half. Half of them are playing multiplication snap, and the other half are gathered around me and we're working on our multiplication flashcards. And then on the next day I'll flip, and the snap people will be with me and the flashcard people will be playing snap. But I'm very observant as to my little flashcard group, because as soon as a student, I notice that they are getting all the cards, they're the first one to say the product, then I say, "You need to leave. You're kicked out of here. You're fired. Go be with someone and play snap." And that is just very exciting. They think that's so fun to get fired from the flashcard group. Now I need to tell you, I have finally this year, well, actually last year I stopped giving any multiplication time tests. None. I don't give them at all. In fact, I have thrown away almost all of my time test materials. I've saved one book. I just can't get rid of it yet. But I don't give multiplication time tests. So how do I know if they know their tests? How do I know if they know their facts? I just have them come up, and then I rapid fire about 8 to 10 questions. And if they know them, it's very obvious very soon. If they don't, I might only ask them 3 questions. 3 times 9, yes, you're not ready. You need to practice with me more. and that's all I do. And I find it to be a very good way to measure. You know, I have to be aware that there are going to be some students who may not learn these to mastery this year. I'm a gardener, and right now, which is February in Southern California, I have a gladiola that is in full bloom. Now, that's not a February bloom. In Southern California, gladiolas are a late spring and summer bloom. My students are just like that gladiola. They are going to bloom when it's their time. And what a beautiful thing for me to teach them, that if they don't master them this year, it's okay. It's going to happen at some time. It may or may not happen with me. I hope it happens with me. But if it doesn't, it's okay. It's going to happen. It's a hard time to be a teacher, but it's an exciting time to be a teacher. I mean, we're teaching at a time where it's okay to use our fingers. That's a good thing. Until we meet again for another session with math, I want to remind you that you are a math person and you are enough. Goodbye.